vision consistently, every time, was to bring back the academic prowess that existed on that historic campus, as well as to acknowledge the historic significance of that campus. And so I found a picture of Roosevelt Junior High, just to take us back in the day. So after many of those town hall meetings, as tense as some of them were, we finally came to I came to an informal agreement with the community about the future, because at many of those meetings, the alumni said, absolutely not, no part of the campus can be altered. We didn't have the money to preserve. There were times we had conversations that it was just a hope that we would get the money to be able to do something positive on that campus and not just let it wither away. So the informal agreement that we eventually got to was that we would preserve the gym and make it a multi-purpose cultural arts center. We would preserve the frontage on Tamron. We would preserve the name, right? We wanted to have training space for professional development activities as well as community use. Dreamed of a community access media center that, and I see that word possibly because I just floated this one time, possibly operated by the city of West Palm Beach. An office for the Palm Beach County School District's Office of African, African American, Latino, and Gender Studies. And what we heard consistently was a high-end academic program, right? So we talked last time about architecture, engineering, and technology, and possibly more. We talked about possibly adding African American studies. We talked about possibly adding like museum studies, but high-end academic is what the community said to us over and over and over again. And then, of course, the Black History Museum, which was penciled in to be operated by the Palm Beach County African Diaspora Historical and Cultural Society. So this has been presented in community meetings several times, including our last town hall meeting, and I presented these issues to the school board on August 30th as part of my discussion, so that there would not be confusion about the direction we were trying to go. So since we last met, so I just put this slide in here to tell you I've been working hard, right? So these are some of the meetings that I found when I scanned through my calendar. This does not include all the 25 million conversations, all the meetings that weren't on the calendar, so on and so forth. But just to say that we've been working hard, and each one of these meetings represents a whole bunch of other people meeting with me and sharing our best thoughts on how to move forward. And you will see that in 2020, February 20, there was a visit by a gentleman from New York who was talking about purchasing the campus to put his school there. Okay. And I think, can't remember, did Miss Perry, where's Miss Perry? Miss Perry, did you work on that tour with me, right? Okay. So we sufficiently shut that down, okay? And this man was talking big money, and I had to go back to the school district and say, okay, so when he starts talking all those dollar signs, don't have your eyes start flashing and carrying on, because that's not what the community wants. So we shut that down. Thank you, Ms. Perry. And so now my transition slide, Dr. Johnson, you're up next. And so you heard about the informal agreement, the high-end academic program. Where's Dr. Johnson? Don't leave me hanging. Come on up here. Okay, like don't have me trying to present this. Okay, so now we want to share with you where we're going with this, quote, high-end academic program. Thank you. Give me the clicker. The clicker. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you.
So good evening, everyone. Thank you guys so much for having us here. My name is Dr. Johnson. I'm the director for the Department of Choice and Career Options with the school district. So I am here to just kind of share some information with you regarding those high-end academic programs that we are proposing tonight. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys, Roosevelt community, and I am so excited about these programs, and we will solicit your input at the end of it. If we need to go back to the drawing board, we will do that. But we did do a lot of research and discussions and consideration to come up with this proposal. So I want to start first about talking around what's called career dual enrollment. So the idea is that we are going to have a system that will allow high school students starting in grades 11 to also participate in these programs. And the way they would do that is through something called career dual enrollment. And so that would allow a student in their junior year to go ahead and start participating and getting that workforce training in these programs. In some programs, and Mr. Fred Barch is going to talk a little bit about the number of hours that it takes to complete, some of them, our high school students may be able to complete them before they graduate from high school. And then in others, we're going to set up a system called an articulation agreement that basically says, if I don't finish the program as a high school student and I graduate, I can then matriculate into the adult piece and finish up very shortly. So we looked at programs that would not take a lot of time to be able to complete, because the idea is to offer something high-end, quality, and put people out into the workforce. And then if they want to be able to go back later on and pick up additional degrees, they would have the opportunity to do that. So that's going to take a collaboration with not only us here in the school district and the community, but we'll also be collaborating with other post-secondary institutions in the area as well. One of the beauties of the training programs that I'm going to present to you is that they all have the ability for students, whether they are that high school student or an adult student, to be able to earn what's called an industry credential. So it's one thing for you to be able to learn the knowledge and skills, but as we know, some careers and some occupations require some type of license or certificate or something that goes along with it. It's kind of like that icing on the cake that says, yes, you took this training, but this validates that you know what you're doing. And so these programs will allow not only our high school students to start earning those credentials as early as high school, but if they transition to the next level, they can continue to earn even more credentials. We call those stackable credentials. So a good way to explain what that looks like in the IT area, you may start off with something as simple as a Microsoft certification, but you have the ability to continue to earn more certifications that are higher in and more rigorous, if you will, which then puts you in a better position when it's time for employment. So here are some of the programs that we are, again, proposing. We're proposing programs in the aviation and aerospace area, looking at airframe and electrical and welding. We're also proposing things in architecture around computer-aided drawing and modeling, as well as drafting. We're looking at energy, looking at some things in the solar area. We're also looking at human services, and so you may go, well, you know, is that really high-end? And I would beg to say, yes, it is high-end. Just look at your credit card statements the last time you went to go get services. And it's not just about the services, too, but to be able to incorporate those entrepreneurship types of concepts around this, so students can earn not only the credentials, but then also learn how to own their own businesses at the same time. And then, of course, information technology, especially around the cybersecurity. Every time you turn on the TV, there's a need for trained people in this area. So these are the academic programs that we are proposing. Again, we are looking to be able to eventually have our high school students start as early as grade 11 to begin some of these programs, hopefully even complete them while they're in high school, but if not, be able to finish them up very shortly after graduating and get them into the workforce and leading their lives. So up next, I'm going to have Mr. Fred Barch to come up. You're not going to see a change in the programs, but Mr. Barch, who is our Director for Adult Ed, is going to talk to you about these programs from an adult perspective because it looks just a little bit different. The training is still the same, the opportunities are still the same, but he's going to get a little bit deeper into these programs in terms of the hours. So, Mr. Barch?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. So my name is Fred Barch, Director of Adult and Community Education. Just to give you an idea, pre-pandemic, adult and community education served over 30,000 students in Palm Beach County. So we have a very large group of students that we work on with workforce programs, community ed programs, which are fun and leisure, and also we've added a lot of career certificate programs, and that's kind of what we're looking at today. Now, in order to give free dual enrollment programs to our high school age students, we have to first establish evening adult education programs because the career dual enrollment is actually run through adult education. So what you see here are the different programs, and when you think of colleges offer credit hour programs. Technical colleges offer clock hour programs. So everything's based on clock hours. So when you take a look at this, we've got aerospace running at a clock hour of about 1,350 hours. And you can see that each program is listed as clock hours. You'll see a tuition next to it because all of the programs that are run through the Department of Education that are clock hour programs require a tuition attached to it. There's a lot of ways to waive tuition. There's scholarships and different funding programs that will help to provide the tuition assistance, but those are programs that we have to offer with tuition. So this shows you a few of the different programs, and as Dr. Johnson said, these are the exact same programs so that students can matriculate from the high school. You know, if they didn't finish the program, they can move into the adult ed program in the evening. And the beauty of this is we'll be serving high school age students, and we'll also be serving adult students who want to further their education and move along to try to get a better job. So, you know, the photovoltaics is really big. That's solar power. And we also have architecture and energy. So the human services, as Dr. Johnson said, those are programs that allow us to educate our students to not only learn how to do hair, nails, and things like that, but they also can open their own business, which is very profitable. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and move on to the next slide. I'm going the wrong way. I'm sorry. And it's back to you, Dr. Robinson. Thank you.
Thank you. So I can't tell you how many meetings, how many discussions, how many borderline arguments we had about these programs. And so the goal was, and I just want to be real clear, the goal was to create programs where high school students would come out with the knowledge and credentials that they could work for somebody else or for themselves, because all the young people saying entrepreneurship, right? But they could also take it to college and build on it, right? And so that was the goal. And I think that we've accomplished that with the academic programs. So now, we added, okay, hang on. We added to the wish list, because you know, somebody said there's no point in dreaming little dreams, right? So we added to the wish list, and you will see the things bolded and in capitals at the bottom. We added the research library, right? And penciled in that will be run by the African American Research Library and Cultural Center. We added a health clinic to be operated by Palm Beach County Healthcare District. We added a food co-op, right? Got to figure that out, right? And also a small kitchen and eating space. And so we keep dreaming this stuff. And now we want to talk about the building that will house these dreams. So here's the first building, the original Roosevelt Building. that house many dreams, right? Dreams that we will not forget, and the dreams that we intend to honor as we move forward with this project. Okay, so Mr. Sanchez, you'll come up. I just want to just stop for a moment and acknowledge both Liz Colomé. Is Liz Colomé here? Liz Colomé, all right, and John Smith, okay, who spent numerous hours hashing out this plan. But you know what got me? I fully expected that I would come to this meeting and have to ask you what to choose to delete, right? Like, would we have to delete, you know, the museum, or delete the food co-op, or what would we have to delete? They made everything fit. And so I did the happy dance. So I'm not going to do the happy dance now, but just know I'm doing the happy dance. And I hope you will too. Mr. Sanchez, if you walk us through.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Robinson. So I get to show the pretty pictures, right? So one of my responsibilities as Chief Operating Officer is head of facilities. So that means all the construction, all the maintenance of our facilities. And it was our task to work with the academic folks, the members of the community, a board member, and others to put together take this dream and try to put it into paper. So we're at the early stages right now. We call this a master plan. This is kind of an idea and an overall setting of where we are. What happens after the master plan is that we hire an architect of record. An architect of record takes these things and makes them more concrete. But we want to make sure we have the overall idea laid out. So what you see on this plan, and there's copies in the back if you didn't pick one up yet, is first of all that we're preserving the facade on Tamarind. That was one of the key areas that you wanted to make sure we included in there, so that's done. We're preserving the gymnasium. That's being done. We're also preserving the other building that was used as a sheet metal shop there, and then the rest of the buildings that you see on the campus are new. So if I can take this off a little bit. Just so I can see and talk at the same time. So what you see off of Tamarind is this pedestrian promenade that welcomes people into the campus. Just to the right is a two-story building that houses the Black History Museum on the first level and the research library on the second level. It's a 20,000 square foot two-story building here. Just when you walk in the facade on the left-hand side there is another two-story building, and that's where the offices are on the second story. On the lower level, you have the grocery store as well as the food co-op. And you also have the media center in this building as well. Center area is parking, as you can see. And then on the west side of the campus is the brand new two-story academic building, which is going to house most of those programs that Dr. Johnson and Fred Barch talked about. They'll also be housed in this building. The gymnasium will be used as a multicultural arts center and it's be preserved as a gym. We're going to preserve and restore the wood floor. We're going to restore the bleachers. So when you were back there and you had dances back in the old days, it'll look very similar to the way it looked back then. So hopefully it'll restore some great memories for you as well. Here we have a canopy. We'll have a bus drop-off along 15th here, so students who are coming from other locations will drop off here. And then parking, all the way around. Different from what we had before, we'll have the ability to bring cars in and then exit this, and then actually go both ways with a separate parking lot off of 15th Street. So we think we've done, so I just want to talk about a couple other things about this in particular. So what the school district has dedicated about $13 million for this project. Basically, we're splitting it into phase 1, which is the buildings on the left or the west side of the campus, and phase 2. So phase 1 is funded, and as soon as we have your blessing, we're going to be going out for an architect, and we're going to be starting the design process on that. Design is going to take about six to 8 months on that. Our goal is to break ground in about 13 months from now, if we have agreement. Phase 2 is the part that North End Rise is working on, and they'll talk a little bit more about that, but that's more of a private development or a private partnership with a nonprofit. And that includes, I did mention one other building here, which is the clinic, which is very important. It's a 30,000 square foot clinic, 3-story, 10,000 square feet per floor, which will service the community with a variety of services here. So I think that we hit it on everything that was on that list, both the preservation plus the new facilities, giving you a very functional, very beautiful facility that's gonna be fantastic. So I look forward to hopefully getting the buy-in. Again, this is early stages, but we want to be able to at least have the framework so that we hire an architect and say, this is what we want the community wants us to design and build. And once we have that, we're ready to get going. So thanks, Dr. Robinson.
Thank you. So Mr. Sanchez told you about phase one, which is really thanks to the voters funded, because you know our referendum included a line that said we were going to use some of those dollars to upgrade this campus and to restore it to good use. And so, as mentioned, we had the 20,000 square foot academic building. We're restoring the gym as a multi-purpose cultural arts building, and we're repurposing the sheet metal building. Now, phase two, which is harder and more complicated, and is the money will be raised privately. And now I want to bring up our partners who will make phase two happen. And so if I could just ask Mr. Eric Kelly, where are you? Come on, Eric Kelly. Okay, and then you can just introduce the next person.
Okay. All right, thank you all very much. I have to contain myself because when I moved here from Tallahassee, this was the first place I preached when we were Christ Evangelical. So this is where I used to come and do sermons on Sunday. You sure don't want a black Baptist big it up and start preaching, no. So, but I'm here in my capacity as president of Quantum Foundation. We're one of the largest healthcare conversion foundations, which simply means that we were created out of the cell of JFK Hospital. We take that money and we invest it. And today it's about $180 million. We take the investment income and put it back into the community. So to the tune of about $7.5 or $8 million a year, we like to invest in community wellness. Part of what has drawn me to this opportunity, quite honestly, we've heard a lot about Dr. Robinson's leadership, but my parents, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, they all went to Roosevelt. One thing I know about Roosevelt, One thing I know about Roosevelt, you got to know what the class is. So when you say I graduated from Roosevelt, then you say what class, and you say, and that was the best class. But the private funds that we're talking about, we're still waiting on the final numbers. Danita Niaz, who could not be here tonight, she runs the Community Foundation of Palm Beach and Martin counties. So we will be partnering up with North End Rise. You'll hear from Dr. Rachel Dosco. With the complement of what the school district is doing, we are hearing anywhere from $30 to $40 million that we'll need to raise in private funds. And so that's the money that we, as CEOs of the foundations and working with folks in the community to go out and raise the money for the balance of what you saw in phase two. It's an honor for me to get to do this. It feels like coming home, and I am grateful to have the opportunity to serve in this capacity as president of Quantum, but more so as a member and kinsman to this community that is being restored for all that has both been lost and will be gained again. So with that, I won't go into a lot of detail about the actual fundraising because we just know that there are big numbers of money that we've got to raise. And we're going to do that for you. Next is, I don't know if Carlos is here. Is Carlos here tonight? He's in St. Mark's. St. Bart's. Okay, and he didn't take me. Okay, we got an issue. All right, so next is Dr. Rachel Dosco. Dr. Dosco is going to come up and talk more about the phase two actual planning. Is that right? All right, Dr. Dosco.
So let me just start by saying that it's really an honor to be a part of this project. I have had the ability to work closely with Dr. Robinson, which has been an amazing experience, but also I have had an opportunity to get to know some of the Roosevelt alumni and really understand the passion that you all have for this project and some of those memories. When I first walked this campus, I was in awe. It's beautiful, and I understand why it's so critically important that we preserve as much of it as we're preserving. What we're doing right now with phase 2 is we are in catch-up mode. And, Eric and I talked about this yesterday. We have asked the school district for what their timeline is for phase 1. And what we want to do is make sure that we can get these dollars raised and make that same timeline that the district is working on, so that to the community this really looks like one phase going up at the same time. You have been waiting decades. We can't wait 1 minute more. And so that's really our charge. And, at 5:15 today, Eric Kelly was on the phone to me reminding me of that. So, we're going to do our very, very best. And again, thanks so much for allowing me and allowing North End Rise to be a part of this dream.
Sorry, is Danita here? I didn't see her. No? Oh, okay, thank you. So I'd like now to bring up Darcy Davis, the CEO of the Healthcare District.
Such a pleasure to be here, truly, with such distinguished guests. I'm honored to be here. And I am not a fundraiser, so I'm on the list, but we're a provider. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit about what we see our role in this project as. So I am Darcy Davis, CEO of the Healthcare District, and you may or may not know, but the Healthcare District has been our county's safety healthcare system for over 30 years. Our network of C.L. Brumbach primary care clinics serves as our front door. We're excited about plans to open another door to a new clinic within the RISE project. We see this clinic as a flagship clinic for us. We will offer access to adults and children, medical, dental care, also pharmacy. We see that as women's health, behavioral health. This will be a flagship location for us, something we're very excited to be a part of. We hope to help break the cycle of poverty by addressing health disparities and using evidence-based practices. This includes screening patients for social determinants of health. That means if somebody comes in and they have a need beyond a medical need, it's our goal to help connect them with a resource. So if somebody has food insecurity, we're going to try to help connect them with a local partner, a food bank. If there's transportation needs, legal needs, we see that, all of that. Food, we say all the time, food is medicine, housing is medicine. If somebody can't take care of those basic needs, they're not going to get their health care taken care of. So we see that we're taking care of the whole person and all of those needs. That's our responsibility as well. So that's what we see this clinic looking like. We're extremely proud to be a partner in this project. And they wrote me a little corny line, so I feel like I have to say it. But I really do look forward to seeing our clinic rise as we become a healthier community. Yeah, I know. I apologize for the corny line, but I'm really excited, truly, about the possibility, and we're happy to be a partner with all of you. Thank you.
One more before we get to the Q&A. Mr. Sanchez, Dr. Johnson, Mr. Barch.
So just from a facility side, kind of next steps for us, as I mentioned, once we have the blessing of the community, we're going to go out with a request for proposal to hire an architect. And right after that, we'll hire a construction management company. So that's kind of the timeline. And as I mentioned before, it's our goal in somewhere around 13 months from now to break ground and get started with construction and to have the facility open by August 2024 is our goal. So put that date in your mind, but it's going to take a partnership. I need a partnership so we can get that done. So that's the phase one, the west side. That's what's financed. The money's in our hands. We have that ability to pay for it now. Some of the challenges that we're going to have with the construction also is that we still got to deal with parking. We still got to deal with drainage. We have to deal with site plan approval, those kind of things. Those issues are details. We got to get into the details, and we'll work things out. That's why I started off by saying this is the master plan. It may look a little bit different, but this is going to be the bones of it. This is going to be the basis of it. We'll work out those differences. So I know we have a talented team of architects and contractors that are eager to work for the school district, and I know that we're going to knock it out the park as soon as we get the go-ahead. So thanks.
So while the hammers and nails are being done and the construction part is being handled, we will be behind the scenes continuing to draft out what the academic programs are going to look like, the marketing behind it, and all of the logistics in terms of getting butts in seats and get people trained. So Mr. Barch, you want to share any additional?
Sure. So from the adult side, same thing. We'll be marketing those programs to try to get adults into the programs. We'll immediately start the accreditation process, which you have to start after you start offering these career and technical ed courses. That'll move us towards that technical college status in the future.
And now, so what say you? Did we get it right? Okay, so where's the howevers? Come on. Come on. Room for improvement. Like we have, listen, I have learned so much. I've been counting parking spaces, all kind of stuff that I never want to do. But where's the room? Come on. What? Okay, come. So I think I need to act like Vanna Black here. So who's first? Okay. Sir, come.
Well, I was looking at the programs, and I was saying that, architect is a good program, aircraft is a good program, but worry about the marine biology, the marine industry and stuff, because we got tons of boats and stuff, and them people, they can get a job here, and they can just walk in the community and be able to.
Okay. So what? Somebody's talking to me? Okay, my nephew, don't. Okay, I'll have a conversation with you later. Okay. We talked about marine. So somebody.
We did have that as part of our conversation, and it's certainly, we're looking for this type of input. So if we need to go back and reconsider some other programs, we will definitely do that. But Marine was a part of our earlier conversations, and okay, well, make sure you give me your name and phone number before you leave. Thank you.
We appreciate the enthusiasm. Yes, ma'am. I think that's an excellent idea. That's a huge industry in Palm Beach County. Okay, so our county administrator is echoing that concept. Yes, ma'am.
So that the community can continue to be involved, is there some way that we could have a community committee that will work along with the school board so that the community is constantly aware of the moving targets or what's happening and everything?
Okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, but you've been part of these conversations.
Right, but we need a committee that can work along with the school board.
So we will do regular updates, okay? I think
Not the updates.
no, I hear what you're saying. We will consider how we could better involve you, but I'm telling you, the level of this, Lord, they drove me insane with PSAV and all this other stuff. Let's look at it.
Okay, because I believe we are ready for it.
I'm not doubting that. Oh.
Another question too. When we talk about the upscale program, where would these, right, where would the students come from to come to this particular program?
Okay. So it's a regional concept, similar to back in the day when students went to North Tech or South Tech or West Tech for part of their day. So it's not a full high school. It's not going to be students here, you know, who take all of their subjects on this campus. But we will be bringing students in from the region. It's partially modeled after the tech high schools and colleges in Broward. So hang on. We'll come right back to you.
First, I want to say, with all that you presented, I truly appreciate it, and you asking for more, it means a lot. One thing I would like to add or be seen is early child care facility. If there's any way we can possibly put something in there for parents to have a place to put their children when they're trying to gain this education, it would be great.
So that was actually proposed, right? And so I'm actually done with it, to be honest with you. But early childhood has not been ignored, but the expansion of early childhood at other locations is in the mix. You know, I'm early childhood person, so yes, so I didn't ignore it, but I was trying to make all the community's dreams fit on this campus. So yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Also, the community where the facility reside, how will they benefit from services there? Because being in that community, we really would like the community that lives in that community for that facility to serve them as well. So if we're having children coming in, then what about the students and the children that live in the area that could benefit from services from that school?
Well, definitely the students, this is all about them, right? And even though students would come regionally, the students who live in the area definitely are like first priority, right? The health clinic is definitely for the community. The public access media center is definitely for the community, right? And the thing that's good about it is that many of these spaces are flexible spaces, right? So let's say we decide, after time we go, okay, there's not that much interest in the community access media center. That space could be converted to some other use, right? I just want to make sure that we had the space for what the community had outlined already. So, yeah, work in progress and nothing in concrete. Well, I shouldn't say that. In ink. How about that? Okay. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Wait. Let me get right there. Take the shortcut.
Good evening. It looks like the infrastructure is spectacular. I was just wondering about Brightline, maybe a couple of blocks away. Has there been any discussion about synergy between Brightline and their engineers and the school?
I have not been part of such a conversation. Brightline scares the living daylights out of me, but but the engineering part, yeah, I think we can add that to our figure out how to make it work list. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you for that. That's I'm into this engineering thing, so that's great. So hello.
I notice you have, this area is pretty much a food desert, there are hardly any grocery stores. And I noticed that you have a neighborhood grocery store here, but I was trying to get an idea as to how large that would be and how much could that serve, how many people, because I see you include an office and a community media center, so it seems as if so it seems like the neighborhood grocery is just a small piece of the, yeah.
Yeah, actually we had, I'm close to fights about that. So I don't know where we tentatively landed, but do you have a number in your head where we landed on the the grocery store food co-op?
Square footage?
Square footage.
Yeah, I think Rachel does.
Hi there. So the way that the site planners design the space is that it's flexible right now, and what we wanted to do was get input from the community about how much space they wanted in terms of office space on the first floor, how much space for a cafe, and then how much space for the grocery food co-op. And then there is certainly space on the second floor as well that can be used. But, that's really something that you need to tell us.
So, thank you. So I think she's telling us that we need to prioritize square footage for the grocery store. Anybody that gets heartburn from that? So I could tell you that Rachel was probably jumping for joy that you said that, because I think she was trying to put Publix on the campus, but that's okay. Here we go.
Good evening. I'm Carmen Wild Goose, class of 67. My question is more about the tuition. I saw those numbers up there. Could you give me more information about that? And then secondly, is this school, would it be identified as a school of choice, a neighborhood school? Because that would determine enrollment or who has access to the programs.
Okay.
So give me more information about that.
Yes, so it's not a neighborhood school. It would not have boundaries, right? It will be a regional tech school, so that children from surrounding high schools can come here part of their day and take those specialty classes. They'll take their core academics, math, science, English, and so forth at their home school. So it's not a community school. It's also not a choice school in the way that we have labeled choice schools in the past, okay? So like we are going back a couple decades to the model of North Tech, South Tech, and West Tech, right? So.
I just want to know, how will these kids in the neighborhood have access to them?
Absolutely.
How do you work that out?
We recruit them.
Okay. So you'll be
Yeah.
those details?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, if they're coming from the whole region and you only have X amount of slots, how do you put aside slots for the kids that already live? No, yeah. If you're talking about you only have a certain number of slots in the school and kids have the opportunity from all around the region to come, how do you set aside slots for the neighborhood kids, or how do you work that out?
Okay. But that's very good. I like it. Go ahead. I'm sorry, finish.
But no, then you can talk to me about the other thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what I'm taking away from that comment is we need to prioritize students that live in walking distance. Would that be fair? Or okay, maybe like a priority attendance zone, right? For admission to the program, that they have first right of refusal, so to speak, right? So now, I'm gonna ask Fred Barch to answer the tuition question, because I told him this was gonna come up. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the tuition is just for adult students. That tuition is set forth by the Department of Education, Florida Department of Education. So we're required to charge that tuition. But the good thing is, in Palm Beach County, we actually have this program, which will be available, which will be about 1/20th of the cost of private technical schools. And in Palm Beach County, we have more private technical colleges than anywhere else in the state of Florida. So we're trying to fill the void to provide quality programs at a very low cost. So it will be significantly lower than what's available around Palm Beach County. And there will be opportunities for financial aid, career source funded programs, and other organizations that fund tuition.
Thank you. Oh, more hands. Okay, so as I'm walking over there, let me read a question that came through virtually. Can you talk more about the governance structure or ongoing community engagement might look like moving forward? So the governance structure, if you're talking about the academic program, I mean, these are Palm Beach County School District programs, right? If you're talking about the phase 2 with the clinic and all that, that remains to be legally worked out, exactly who's doing what and responsible for what. And so that's that part. And then the community engagement part, I think Ms. Perry has brought that up. For the little while that I have left on the school board, I'll be happy to continue giving you updates. Okay, who had their hand raised?
I have a two-part question. first part is, why was that particular location selected for this project? Roosevelt High School area. Part. Yeah, but
So the first one was because, as I mentioned early on, we had more than 2 decades worth of input from the community about what would happen on that campus. It was withering away. It was demolition by neglect, right? And so that's why it was focused on that campus, saving that campus. Yeah.
Second part of the question is, hear a lot of talk about preserving history and acknowledging that. And one of the questions I would have is centered around Roosevelt and Industrial High. You can go on the internet and there's very little you can find about Industrial High or Roosevelt High. So it should be something that we try to preserve in terms of history itself. So the question that comes behind that is this. Over the last decade, the school board has renovated dozens of schools in Palm Beach County. Expenses sometimes have been double, where it may have cost $16 million to start the project, but it may have gone to 30. Maybe having a new school that would cost $100 million when you look at the price of it in terms of construction. So with the school board having the funds to do that, why didn't we look at preserving Roosevelt using some of those same ideas, some of those same financial tools to keep the history alive?
So I could just tell you that was tried over many years, and we just got the traction and the support. So the fact that it was put on the list for the referendum was the first time that there was true support for saving this campus, right? And then that support has grown over time as we bring partners in. So I could tell you, one voice, one vote don't do it, unfortunately.
Okay,
Yeah.
So that means that right now with this particular project at that location, it's not about revitalizing Roosevelt, because that's not what you're revitalizing. You're repurposing what you're going to use the property for. So right now, if this goes through, you're basically burying Roosevelt history, because Roosevelt's not going to be recognized once all this goes up.
Okay, well, I mean, I appreciate that point of view. I worked hard to make sure that we prepared this campus for future use while honoring the past, right? I can appreciate the fact that you think, I'm assuming that you think that that's inadequate. I mean, I don't really know what else to tell you. That's, you know, we had lots of conversations early on about trying to put new programs inside of old buildings, and there just wasn't traction for that. So, thank you. Yes, sir.
I like that thought. For the marketing piece and the getting the word out, you said, I heard a lot about regional. It's regional, da-da-da-da. And my concern is that, which I heard voiced on the other side, was I mean, we can reach out regional, but let's reach out from Okeechobee to 45th Street, from Flagler to Australian or Congress. If we start in that area first, and I think a right approach would be to target market that area first, which would ensure information is being disseminated to the kids in this area, to the young men that need that. I think that would.
Do the geography again, or Okeechobee?
Okeechobee to 45th Street, Congress to Flagler. There's not a high school in that. There's not a high school in that area, this area. So, but to the point of serving the individuals in this immediate locality, I would think that would be the marketing pitch that would go out first to kind of let them know.
We got it. Thank you for giving us the boundaries. Thank you.
Yeah, well, that's
the boundaries for the marketing, not the boundaries for the school, so to speak. So, yeah, okay. Hey there.
How you doing?
Good.
My question relates to the private the solicitation of private contributions. Number one, how and where do you all intend to solicit those contributors? And then what is the value-added proposition with respect to those people who or entities that may want to contribute privately to this project?
Thank you. So I'm so glad you asked. So,
Yeah, thank you for that question. So Danita Nez and I, she's the president CEO of the Community Foundation, that's what they do for a living. So we actually are working on a list of possible donors. As a matter of fact, we have a meeting tomorrow morning with some folks who we think can begin, where we can begin those conversations. The value proposition is multifold. Number one, and first and foremost, to talk about the programming and what will happen on the campus. You know, it's hard to get capital funds just for the sake of brick and mortar. So we'll have to talk about what's happening on the campus. And we actually have, and at some point we'll be able to disseminate this back out. We have what's called a case for support that we've developed. And that case for support actually entails all of the history. So we expand to talk about the history of Coleman Park, the history of Pleasant City and historic Northwest. We talk about the history of the high school, and I heard the gentleman talking about losing some of that history. We pick that up in the case for support, so we will be talking with folks about that, and we have a number of academic, economic, health and housing and other outcomes that we believe having an anchor like this in the community will generate. So there is a case for support that we have. We're going to target people of high net worth, but also those who can write a check. Any of you who want to write a check for $5 or $10 or $15 or $20, whatever you want to write. So we'll take that. We're also looking for 7- and 8-figure gives to round off the private fundraising. Otto, did I give you enough of what you needed?
It did. I would just like to find out where you all are disseminating information for persons or entities that want to be a part of that conversation.
Well, I actually can speak. Why don't you and I talk? Well, I'll get your number. Sound like to me we got our first prospect right here.
right? I know, right? That's good. That's good. So I'm coming to you. Let me just, so I could give this young lady her phone back. One of the questions that came across was, would the health clinic be a federally qualified health center, therefore potentially able to leverage additional federal resources as an expansion of C.L. Brumbeck's designation? The answer is yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Here you go. Okay. Yes, sir.
Hello. Hi. My question is for the healthcare clinic. Are there any assurances that this is not going to be like a drug clinic? I know someone mentioned, how they will be taking care of, the youth and some other adults, but what other assurances that you are putting out there that can just basically make sure that this will never turn into some type of drug clinic?
Okay.
And one more question.
Okay.
So, and the second question is in regards to, like, this area is mainly like a bedroom community, right? So it's not a lot of, income base, or the people in the area are not really receiving, opportunities to put forth their business, if they have a LLC or anything like that. And there's a lot of development going on around it. So I'm seeing that this structure is the food co-op. Can anyone kind of just talk about that a little bit more? Is that kind of incorporating outside or local businesses to bring, their business into this building and operate?
Okay. Thank you for that. So a lot of the parts of Phase 2 have not been outlined on paper, right? And so, so we'll take that input. I don't know if Ms. Davis wants to comment on the drug treatment program piece.
Yeah, I can speak to the clinic particularly. So you heard the question earlier, federally qualified health center. That means that we are accountable to the federal government who will help provide funds, and they have very strict rules about what types of services we can provide. We can't just go rogue and set up a drug treatment center. But I did want to say one more thing. The other thing about us in terms of the quality of care, we have a gold seal, and again, it's a federal recognition. It means care we provide in our clinics that already exist in this community, top 10% in the nation of quality outcomes in terms of the care we provide. So we have a proven track record to tell you that what we provide is high quality, and that's why I think we're at the table, because they know what we're able to do, and the population we serve and the providers that we have, multilingual. I mean, we know what it takes to come into a community that may not have had a lot of access to care and provide the very best care. So that's my answer.
Okay, thank you. And so just to follow up on the other part, we have had preliminary conversations about making sure that we're getting as much local produce from local farmers as possible, as well as hiring people from the neighborhood to run it. But that's not defined. That's just loose conversation right now. We just want to do this check-in at this point. Hey there, Mr.
All right, how you doing?
I'm good.
My name is Jimmy Bohorn, and I went to Roosevelt and I graduated in the class of 1967. I got my first opportunity to go to college on a music scholarship from Ms. Gillum, who taught music. My concern is, I'm in the music business professionally. Will there be on this bus room for musicians, kids to be able to realize that live musicians should play live music, and to basically have a music program, because music teaches kids to count, same as tennis does. And the question about the history of Roosevelt, Roosevelt gave me an opportunity, and I just wanted to know, is it space for music? Thank you.
So, Jimmy Bohorn, we would definitely look at how that might possibly work. That's not in the plan now, right? But again, some of this space is flexible space. I mean, so, like, let's just keep dreaming together about what it might be. I mean, I love it, you know. So I actually have, where'd my nephew go? Okay, so he cut up and left. Okay, so, okay, so can I just say something, just because I'm gonna throw it out there just to mess with people. So Ashley started talking about whether or not we teach film there, because there's a young man in this community whose mentor is Spike Lee, right? And whether or not we could figure out how to have some that juice here, you know? Okay, there's no space designated for that, right? But let's just dream the dream. Let's keep moving it, right? So, yes, ma'am.
So what about the hours? What about the hours of the school? Would they be the regular school hours, 8 to 3, or will there be time for after-school events or after-school activities? For example, the filmmaking and the music. Is that part of the district's decision? Do we have input on that?
You have input on everything. That's why we're here. But, yeah, so, but actually, who answers, okay, Dr. Johnson, on the scheduling piece?
That hasn't been something as part of the programming, but it's something we can go back and have some conversation with. As Dr. Robinson explained, it's not your traditional high school campus. It's a place where kids are really going to come for some specific training. So what you would typically see, you know, like at a Palm Beach Lakes or a regular high school in terms of those after-school activities, really, this is going to be very targeted in terms of coming for the training that you're going to get, and then those other activities would then still be available for the students at their regular high school. So this would not be their regular high school for the high school students. This would just be a kind of drop-in, if you will, for a period of time during the day to be able to get that specific training for the programs that they select to be in here. But we can definitely go back and have some conversation, because, you know, if there's something that can be added from a community perspective, definitely like the music part, We can go back and have conversation about maybe a multi-purpose type space, I hope I'm not talking out of turn, that might be able to address some of that kind of stuff. Sorry, Cheryl.
Okay. Thank you. And then there'll be evening adult programs too. So, any more hands, questions, comments, input, tweaks? Okay, here we go.
Go out to those specialty schools. I said, we got it right. We got it right tonight. And anything that you want to specialize, go out to those specialized schools. But what we have arranged for this space, we have got it right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind everyone that the Sunset Lounge will be opening by the end of the year, thank God. And there will be lots of music there.
Oh, okay. I wasn't quite sure what he was saying when he started talking about the sun. That could be a partnership. Okay, I was thinking something different. I'm glad y'all clarified that, because I'm not going to tell you what I was thinking. Anybody else? You, Mr. Gibson. Okay.
My question probably has something to do with the gentleman that discussed fundraising.
Okay.
And I see that you have some programs that have partners that are funding those, like the healthcare. They're responsible for that. You're responsible for the academic. The museum and the research library. What effort is being put forth for funding for those particular programs, and who, who's a part of that?
Okay. So thank you. That's part of the funding that that Eric described. Did he leave me? Yeah. Oh, he's outside. Eric Kelly described, and the other partners that were listed. So it's it is as firm as it can be that the money raised will be used for those designated things, right? The private money, right? That's what is being raised for. That's what the ask is for. And, and how that, the relationship between the school district and the entity that is going to manage all of that has not yet been outlined on paper, right? And so, but it's clear in every conversation that list, that big wish list, is the expectation and the ask, right? The sustainability of it, I'll tell you that on the side, okay? So, anybody else? Y'all ready to go home? Okay, one more. Okay.
I must have missed it, and I'm so sorry. What is the name of the center? What will be the name?
The name will include Roosevelt.
Okay.
That's all I can tell you. Okay? That's all I can tell you, is it will include Roosevelt. That's what I know. That was part of that original agreement I made with the community. And now, can I do the happy dance? Woo-hoo! Thank you. Listen, I appreciate those of you who have encouraged or pushed me along the way. I'm telling you, I guess y'all make this look easy, but this is not easy. And phase 2, and okay, so before I say goodnight, let me just say the number one, what did I call you today? The number one harasser? The number one harasser about this project has been Rachel Dosakal. Please stand up. So, now I'm gonna just tell you, she's like a dog with a bone. And I'm glad this the bone she got, right? So I thank you, Rachel. I thank you for all of the partners. I thank you for all of the staff that's been working on this, that I have given headaches to. And I really thank all of you for coming out to sharing your wisdom, your input, your push. And yeah, let's just keep it going, okay? Work in progress. Thank you. Thank you.